Hello, welcome. My name is Aitaba. I'm a dedicated Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling streamer, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite archetypes, which is the Dark Magician deck. Yeah, we are calling it the Dark Magician in between because there have been so many people playing so many seasons Dark Magician deck. And today I just want to give you an update on the latest version I've been playing or experimenting with to get King of Games, and this is my 31st King of Games deck, which is the Dark Magician version. And now let's go into the deck explanation. So yeah, what you can see here is basically the very simple version of a Dark Magician deck reduced to 20 cards. You can, in that case, just ignore my synchro deck because I have no tuner here in this version, and you can just run it with 1 Kaiku, 2 Magician of Dark Illusions, Rods, Dark Magicians, Circles, Navigation. I would say the tag in this deck is at least 1 copy of the Magician of Dark Illusion, because this one helps you special summon Dark Magician from graveyard when a spell or trap card effect is activated and this card is already on the board, or this card is in your hand and a spell or trap is activated during your opponent's turn, then it would be special summoned to the board. I personally run 2 copies of it because you can see it's limited. It wouldn't be limited if it was like super broken, but I think Konami tried to balance it somehow between like trap holds in a Dark Magician deck, which just makes it like, kind of too busted. But if you run just like 2 versions of the Dark Magician of Illusion, it's still okay, it's still busted. That's why we run 2 copies. And then we have the Kaiku, which is the destroyer of graveyard banishment, I call it that way, which is makes very easy to understand because when the Kaiku is out there on the board, your opponent cannot banish anything, neither from your or from his graveyard, which makes it like a big no-no for Shiranui players or a big no-no for people who are going to try like using Invoke Recyclement with the Alistair from graveyard. It's not going to work as long as the Kaiku is out there, so try to protect him because he will give you games. And the second effect of the Kaiku is actually life points of your opponent. You can banish 2 cards or 2 monsters from the graveyard of your enemy. For example, for Shiranui players, this can be devastating. If you do some damage, then you use the Kaiku's effect just to banish their tuners out of the graveyard, so the Spectral Sword is gone. GG. The most reliable search in this deck, yeah, the Sinner, so which is like the core draw engine in your deck to mill it out, is actually the Magician Rod. The Magician Rod gives you 100% reliable search of a spell or trap card with the word Dark Magician in it, so which will be the Circle, the Navigation, or the Illusion Magic. So if you have a Rod, you definitely get one of those cards and you can choose from, it's not random. So this is a very reliable search and will help you build up your combos. And the second effect from the Rod is when the Rod is already in the graveyard and you have a Spellcaster on the field, you can exchange the Rod for the Spellcaster. It's kind of an activatable effect. And in that case, you will get the Rod back on hand, and next turn you can use it. Also, you can use the Rod's effect from time to time to chain it to the trap or spell effect of your opponent during his turn to chain block his combos. But this is like a more complicated, higher play, and you should just try it out for yourself then on a ladder. Yeah, you need to like train this a little more. This is like the, how to say, this is more than for the Dark Magician pros, let's call it that way. But without this effect, you still can play. It's very simple to understand how the Rod works. And it's a level 3 monster, so you can just normal summon it. Then you have the Dark Magician, which is a vanilla monster, and this will help you later when I explain how Heatwave works. So Dark Magician can be special summoned from your hand with the Navigation, or from graveyard with the effect of the Dark Illusion, or it can be tribute summoned when you have already 2 monsters out there, just tribute over it. And the Dark Magician can also be searched again with the Circle. The Circle gives you a search and will help you mill out your deck, but it's a non-reliable search because it just gives you like a look at the top 3 cards of your deck. And then if there is a Dark Magician card like the monster, the Navigation, another Circle, or the Illusion Magic, only in that case you can pull it. Otherwise you have just to change the order of the decks, like you can sort which card should be on top and which card should be the last of the 3 on top of your deck, and that's it. In that case, you just like shuffle your deck. Yeah, and after that, another core card is definitely the Navigation, because with Navigation, set and you have a Dark Magician on hand, in that case you can activate the navigation and the Dark Magician will be special summoned to the field. Then in that case you can draw another spellcaster monster out from your deck, which could be the Illusion, the Kaiku, or the Rod. Usually you go Illusion, sometimes you go Kaiku, depending on what deck your opponent has and who you are going to try to stop. And the second effect of the navigation is when it's already in graveyard. So after it is already used to special summon your Dark Magician, it is in your graveyard, and starting from the next turn, for example, when it's not your turn anymore but your opponent's turn, you can already use it then to negate the effect of spell or trap cards from your opponent. This is very helpful basically to OTK then your opponent. And then there is the Illusion Magic, which will help you draw 2 Dark Magicians if you tribute a spellcaster. Could be Rod, could be Kaiku, or could be a Dark Magician itself. Sometimes you can use it, for example, when you know, okay, the Illusion is on board, already summoned, face up. You can set this card, turn, for example, 1 Dark Magician into 2 Dark Magicians from your deck or whatsoever, or 1 Dark Magician from your deck. And then you know there's another Dark Magician in the graveyard, and that one will be special summoned by the effect of the Illusion. And in the case you have already a Dark Magical Circle on the board, then the banishment will take place. So basically this deck here works with the special summoning of the Dark Magician, which will activate the effect of banishment from the Dark Magician Circle, which is a targeted banishment. So you should understand that monsters which cannot be targeted, they are kind of protected from the Dark Magician Circle. So Cositis is a for Dark Magician Circle, which is maybe the worst matchup you can see. And in that case, we have the Herald of the Abyss. The Herald of the Abyss will help you remove 1 card from the side of your opponent. So you declare monster type and attribute, and your opponent must send 1 face-up monster with the declared type and attribute from their field to the graveyard. But you have to play 1,500 life points. So if you don't have any life points left, this card is not going to work. But this is basically your resolution to Cositis. Yeah, because your circle cannot deal with him. So beside the circle, checking up your top 3 decks will stay on your field. Yeah, and the second effect, if Dark Magician monster is normal or special summon to your field, and that is already, the circle is already there, you can banish 1 monster. You can target 1 monster and banish it. Yep. Yeah. Oh no, sorry, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and banish it. And so it doesn't distinguish between front row and back row, sorry. So let's bring it back to that one. Yeah. So this were like all the tech cards, from Dark Magician to Illusion to Circle to Navigation, Illusion and Rod. They are tech. Then you have exchangeable cards like the Kaiku as said before. If you don't have the Kaiku and you want to play a synchro deck like with synchro summons, you can add a level 2 tuner, which is the Knights and Sorcerer, and then you can go into synchro summons like level 5, level 6 if you want to add like that way. Usually you go for level 9 and level 5 synchro monsters like Amatrix or Armadis, Vermilion Merc Dragon or Azure Eyes, because Azure Eyes will protect your vanilla monsters like the Dark Magician, which comes in pretty handy. If you don't have the Kaiku, the Knight and Sorcerer, or the Knight and Sorcerer, you still can run like the Witch of the Black Forest, just interchangeable. So some of the cards from this deck can be exchanged. And then for me, in this very simple version of the deck, without any tuners, without the necessity of a synchro deck, we have actually the Herald of the Abyss, as I explained before, and we have the Heat Wave. So those 2 cards are really extra sauce in the deck, and they are very powerful, especially in the meta right now, since everyone is like running effect monsters, and Heat Wave would just stop the summoning of effect monsters. So this card can only be activated at the start of the main phase. So before you activate your skill or anything else, even set a card, activate Heat Wave, and after that only normal monsters can be summoned, like vanilla monsters like the Dark Magician, and effect monsters are now boo-boo, they cannot come anymore. And then there is, last but not least, a Cosmic Cyclone, which will give you Yeah, how to say, definitely an advantage in a mirror game against another Dark Magician player because you can remove their Cosmic Cyclone then. And also will come in very handy against a lot of different decks which work with back row or field spells or face-up spells, yeah, or whatsoever kind of card in the back row. This card can even help you against heavy samurais, just removing their equipment and whatsoever. And running this deck on tie that binds with Yusei Fudo because I'm playing this deck right now in the Turbo event, which has been very helpful. And I use this deck to get King of Games, which is also very helpful. Most people, when they see Dark Magician, they have Circle, they have Navigation Stat, they have 2 cards in hand, they just instantly quit because they know, okay, there's nothing they can do about it. It's a Dark Magician player of turn 1, so game is already over. So there's also a lot of psychology in this. Sometimes maybe even just a bluff, you never know. So I hope you enjoyed the decks explanation we gave you here, and now we go into the gameplay. If you have any questions about the main cards in this deck and the text which you can which are actually exchangeable, write it down into the comments. I would gladly love to see them. Otherwise, just follow us on Twitch and see us live playing Dark Magicians. Welcome to the dark side, and I hope see you next time. Bye bye, I Chamber. Bye bye.